Well, today's Wednesday, March 17th, so happy St. Patty's Day to you. Though I'm fine with skipping boiled cabbage and potatoes and corned beef and even green beer, I did brew up a big mug of Irish breakfast tea this morning and popped on a green shirt and, of course, my giant green four-leaf clover pin, the closest thing I've got to a shamrock. And even though most of my British Isles ancestry is from England and Wales, not Ireland, I've heard that everyone's a little Irish on St. Patty's Day. Even former President Obama has Irish ancestry through his maternal grandfather. So what does it mean to be Irish, even for a day? How much Irish does it take to be Irish? How can you tell? These are questions that you can ask about many, many identities. What makes an American an American? What makes a Christian a Christian? It's so tempting to look for easily visible external traits to sum up someone. What they look like, where they were born, how they dress or talk or eat, where they live, where they worship. It is human nature to associate with people who share at least some external traits with you. You can see it at work even in the very earliest days of the Christian community too. John writes in his gospel that some Greeks had come to worship in Jerusalem at Passover. They've heard about Jesus and are eager to learn more about him. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the disciple that they approach with their request, "Sir, we wish to see Jesus," is Philip, who has at least a name that is recognizably a Greek name. They feel just a bit more comfortable, a bit less awkward approaching someone who is familiar to them in at least one way. It makes it easier. These days when labeling and divisiveness seem to be the way we approach life, religiously, politically, socially, I think we must remember to focus on what unites us, what is essential to our identity. For those of us who identify as Christian, there are the Apostle Paul's words in Galatians 3. In Christ Jesus, you are all children of God through faith. As many of you as were baptized into Christ have clothed yourselves with Christ. There is no longer Jew or Greek, there is no longer slave or free, there is no longer male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus. And if you belong to Christ, then you are Abraham's offspring, heirs according to the promise. Jesus' response in Matthew 22 to the Pharisee who asks what the greatest commandment is remains profoundly true. Jesus said, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment, and a second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets." How we live into our true identity is where the hard work is as well as the joy. I confess it's frustrating that life and faith don't come with more specific and detailed descriptions of how to tell when you're seeing the real thing. It would be nice if it was like a bird guide that lets you know that if the feet are this color and the bill is that color, then it's such and such a bird. But honestly, some of the joy of life in Christ is that it comes in surprising moments, packaged how and when you least expect it. Yes, you may know God's love when you are sitting next to a stained glass window in a long-established church building. But it can just as easily be in the majesty of nature or the aftermath of a disaster as part of a relief team. The external details change. Anyone can be a Christian. I'll finish this St. Patrick's Day with some words from a famous Afro-American spiritual. Lord, I want to be a Christian in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be a Christian in my heart. Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart, in my heart. Lord, I want to be like Jesus in my heart. A happy St. Patrick's Day to you all.